Welcome back to the Tigers Den podcast, guys. Before we get started, you know what we got to do. Smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're brand new. Don't forget, ring that bell. Join the Noti Squad. And hit those links down in my description. Follow your boy on Twitter, IG, and Facebook at Big C Got Game. So our Tigers move to 11-0 after just destroying Rutgers. 56-14 was your final. 21 in the first quarter, 14 in the second, 7 in the third, slow quarter. And then we bring it back in the fourth with 14. Chris King had himself a day, 24-36, 319, 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. Chris is starting to get that hot streak going here at the end of the season, just when we need it, going into the bowl game and the last game of the season. On the ground, Pierre Jackson finished with 19 carries for 144 yards and a touch. Kevin Easley chipped in with 4 carries for 48 yards and a touchdown. These two are going to be much needed. They're going to be relied on heavily because the ground game is going to help us open up the passing game come the end of the season and into the playoff. Out wide, Jordan Paxson led the way with 8 grabs for 98 yards. Shout out to Tim Clark, 4 catches for 33 yards and a touchdown. Antonio Walker having himself a great season. Finished with 4 catches for 52 yards and 2 scores. And Bobby Smith, 2 catches for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns. He took one to the house from 69 yards out. Loving our wide receivers right now. And they're young, so they're only going to get better from here. On defense, the Tigers shut down the Scarlet Knights. Rayshon Baker had 7 tackles on the day. Clemens had 6. Big shout out to Caleb Causey. He's having a sneaky good season this year, man. He had 2 sacks on the day. Brent Stovall had a pick. Big shout out to the other defensive linemen. Anderson and Torian Ray each had a sack apiece. And, of course, we got to talk about him. Eric Rogers, guys. He does it again. Like, anytime he touches the ball, he's liable to take it back to the house. He took a kick 6 back to end the first half. So we dig deeper into the stats from this game. Close on first downs, but that's about it. Total offense, Grambling State almost had 500 yards of total offense. The defense held Rutgers to 24 yards on the ground. Wow, we rushed for 168 yards. They did start passing the ball a lot more. That's why you see 300 yards passing there. But the G-Men's defense held Rutgers to 4 of 13 on third down and 1 of 2 on fourth down. We both had turnovers, and Rutgers actually held the ball longer than Grambling State did. But guess what? The Tigers still got the W. So it's time to look at the BCS standings for this week. And Grambling State's still your number 1 team, followed by Miami of Ohio. They're undefeated and getting ready to take on Ohio. Wisconsin's in at 3, are 10-1. Oklahoma's up a spot to 4. Florida State's up 2 spots to 5. Texas holding strong at 6. South Carolina's up 2 spots to 7. Michigan's up 2 spots to 8. Maryland jumps up 3 spots to 9. And then Army, back in the top 10, they're up 3 spots to 10. Award season is here, guys, and it's time to look at the award finalists. There should be a lot of Grambling State Tigers sprinkled into these lists. We're starting off with the Maxwell Award. As of right now, Charles Williams, the quarterback from Nebraska, is number 1. Pierre Jackson comes in at 3, and Chris King is sitting at 5. For the Walter Camp, freshman Pierre Jackson having himself a year. 239 carries for 1,685 yards and 23 touchdowns. He is the best back in the country right now. For the Bednarik Award, look at all those Tigers, man. Torian Ray leads the way with his 18 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. Then you have Jason West, the senior linebacker. Rayshon Baker, the senior corner, is up on the list at number 3. Kenneth Johnson sitting at 4. And then Brent Stovall sitting at 5. Rounding out the bottom of the list, you have Caleb Causey. He's got 11 sacks on the year. And then Travis Haley, the freshman, he's got 37 tackles on the year. The Nagurski, more Tigers. Torian Ray leads the way, followed by Caleb Causey. Then you have Jason West, Mike Anderson, Rayshon Baker, and Ken Johnson all on this list. The O'Brien Award, Chris King is sitting at 3 behind some stellar quarterbacks. Sean Young, the quarterback from Oklahoma, is 2. And then Charles Williams, the quarterback from Nebraska, he's sitting at number 1. For the Biletnikoff, we have a battle. Steve Mays, the wideout from Miami of Ohio, leads the way right now. But then you have Will Wesley, the senior wideout from Florida State. He's 2nd. Then there's Antonio Walker, our sophomore wideout. He's 3rd on the list, followed by senior wideout Jordan Paxson. He's number 4. For the Mackey, we do have somebody on the list, but he's low. It's freshman Tim Clark. This award's for the best tight end in the country. And he's having himself a solid freshman year, 35 catches for 449 and 3 scores. The Outland, we have two players on this list, which I'm surprised by. We have Otis Smith, the right guard. He's second on the list. And then Marcus Berry, our big right tackle, he's sixth on the list. For the Remington Award, this is the top center in the country. Joseph Clayton is on the list as a sophomore. He's 6'3", 296. He's got 3 pancakes and has allowed a sack this year. The Lombardi, still more Tigers. Torian Ray leads the way, followed by Caleb Causey in at number 2. And at number 4 on the list, Big D tackle Mike Anderson. Best linebacker right now, Jason West leads the way. This will be his second one in back-to-back years. But also on this list is junior middle linebacker Brandon Ginn. He's had a big season this year, and look for him to push for the award next season. For the Thorpe Award, it looks like the Tigers are going to walk away with this, no doubt. Rayshawn Baker leads the way for the Tigers, followed by his corner mate Brett Stovall. Nickel corner Kenneth Smith is third on the list. Then you have redshirt freshman Travis Haley, who just plays in the dime. He's fifth on the list. And then Robert Clemens, our strong safety, is number 6. But we do have somebody on the Ray Guy list. Michael Baker, our punter, man. He's only punted the ball 5 times, but he's still the number 1 punter in the country. And surprise, surprise, look who's on the list for best returner. Our guy, the road runner, Eric Rogers. He's taken 4 kickoffs back, 2 punt returns back, and a couple of kick sixes back. This kid is something special. So we jump into recruiting, and we welcome 2 new members to the recruiting class. Let's start things off with JUCO transfer Mike Weiss from Florida. He's 6'1", 222. He's the number 87th ranked outside linebacker in this class, and he has some solid traits. We got to work on his agility a little bit, but he can tackle. Look at that 86 tackle, 80 hit power, 80 play rec. He can get off of blocks too. Might be a candidate for the red shirt this year just to work on his agility, but we cannot wait to get him on the field. And we also add more depth at the defensive line position. This is A.J. Coker, 6'6", 255 from Dayton, Ohio. He's the number 6 defensive end in the country. And this is another candidate for a player to be moved into the inside. His speed is not that great, but he is strong. He's got a solid power move, solid finesse move, and great block shedding. Can tackle, decent hit power, and he can get after the quarterback. Look for him to be a 3-technique defensive tackle right next to his mate, Daniel Sapp. So we have 5 players left on our board going into the end of the season. We're in a battle for Sheldon Hicks. He's got Michigan as his number 1 team, followed closely by Colorado, and then Grambling State has fallen back to 3rd. Hopefully we can keep this race going into the offseason where we'll be able to dump a lot of points into them. After a great visit on campus last week, Tony Hardy has got Grambling State as his number 1 team, followed by Ohio State, and the Florida Gators are a distant 3rd. So it looks like it's going to be a battle between Grambling State and Ohio State. And, of course, he's heading into Ohio State this week for a visit. We're also in a fight for the number 2 guard in the country, Gavin Jackson from Maryland. Right now, Grambling State is in the lead, but West Virginia is not too far behind. USC is a distant 3rd. Then there's Lee King. He's the athlete from Washington, D.C., 6'3", 209. He has quarterback traits, and he is ready for a visit this week. So we'll bring him on campus when we take on Georgia. And then another defensive end that we're looking at is Brian Clark from Delaware. He's 6'5", 254. Right now he has Ohio State as his number 1 team, but Grambling State is right behind him, not too far behind. He's also ready to visit, so we will bring him on campus for our last game of the season against Georgia. So that puts us with 15 recruits going into the last week of recruiting for us. We got 2 5-stars, 10 4-stars, and 3 3-stars, man. If you guys want to stay up to date with everything Grambling State and the recruiting class, make sure you follow me on Twitter, IG, and Facebook at Big C Gat Game. Those links are down in the description. It is the last game of the season for our Grambling State Tigers, and we got to say goodbye to a lot of seniors. It is senior day at the Hull as we welcome the Georgia Bulldogs to town. They come in 7-4. Coming off a win against Kentucky, 28-21. Previously, they lost to Auburn, Tennessee. They took back-to-back losses to FIU and Arkansas. Normally, the Bulldogs are led by senior quarterback Andrew Sampson. He's thrown for 1,601 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, but he is hurt. So that means we will see freshman quarterback Matthew Taylor, 6'3", 214. He's thrown for 784 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And he's got solid traits, decent speed, great acceleration. Throw power is strong. He's got a very strong arm. The accuracy needs some work, but he can break tackles, and he has trucking ability. So we got to make sure we have our linebackers spying on him because he will look to run first. Wow, they are hurting. Their lead running back is junior Brandon Brooks. He's carried the ball 181 times for 1,111 yards and 7 touchdowns, but he's down this week. So that means we'll see his backup, Greg Hines. He's no slouch, though. 138 carries for 746 yards and 6 scores. Then you have Matthew Taylor, the quarterback, the freshman, 63 carries for 345 and 2 touchdowns. Our main objective this week is to keep Hines contained and make sure we have a spy on Taylor. Now, out wide, the Bulldogs do have a solid wide receiving group led by Maurice Burns. He's 5'11", 210 with speed. He's caught 56 balls for 738 yards and 8 touchdowns. Next up is big tight end Anthony Williams, 6 foot 260, 47 catches for 673 and 7 touchdowns. Then you got Tyler Webb, the sophomore, 30 catches for 387 and 6 scores. The fullback comes out and catches the ball. And then you got the slot guy, Kyle Jackson, 11 catches for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. I like our secondary against this wide receiving group, but we got to make sure we play solid. We have to be smart about our man coverage and our zone coverage this week. On defense, the Bulldogs are led by Brandon Robinson. He's the senior linebacker. He leads the team with 58 tackles. Second on the team is left end Tim Kelly. He's got 57 tackles on the season. Then there's Jesse Thornton. He's a freshman, 81 overall with 54 tackles and 6 sacks. And this Bulldog team can get after the quarterback. Like I said, Jesse Thornton leads the team with 6 sacks. Then you got Tim Kelly, who's got 5.5 sacks. Right end Justin Rowe has 4 sacks. Cornerback, yes, cornerback Jasper Sanders has 3.5 sacks. Then left outside linebacker Adam McClendon has 3.5 sacks. In the secondary, Johnny Murphy leads the team with 2 interceptions, followed by Brandon Robinson, the middle linebacker, and a host of other Bulldogs with 1 interception, including Ben Humphrey, Aaron Walter, Brian Baker, and Adam McClendon. So let's dig deeper into this Bulldogs roster. Taking a look at the Bulldogs offensive line, Keenan Warren is the starting left tackle. He's a 79 overall. At left guard, they are stacked. John Kelly is a stud. He's a 95 overall, and he's a senior. But his backup is Ted White, a sophomore. He's an 86 overall. At center, Keith Cummings is another stud, 94 overall, and his backup is Kenneth Harris. He's an 86 overall. At right guard, you have Justin Martin. He's an 88 overall. And at right tackle, Tavarius Williams is your normal starter, but he's hurt this week. So look for Nigel Little to be your starting right tackle. I think our defensive ends might be able to eat this week. Their left tackle is solid, but their right tackle is going to be no good. On defense, we talked about it. Tim Kelly is going to be a problem. We got to make sure we keep an eye on him. Same can be said for Justin Rowe. He's an 84 overall. Up the middle, Kelly Gillette and Rasheed Frank are 2 studs. Rasheed Frank's a freshman, 6'3", 260. And then Gillette is a junior, 6'3", 276. At linebacker, Adam McClendon, the freshman, he's got solid speed, so we got to make sure we keep an eye on him this week. Up the middle, this captain is Brandon Robinson. He's an 85 overall with 86 speed. He leads the team in tackles. Nick Robinson is the other outside linebacker. He's a freshman, 6'4", 212. Then in the secondary, you have Jasper Sanders, 6'4", 185 from New Jersey. He's a hard hitter with great speed, 97 speed. Then Johnny Murphy, he's an 80 overall, 6'3", 184. And then Ben Humphrey, he's 5'9", 173. He has solid speed as well. Looks like their corners have a lot of size and speed, but again, our wideouts are just stronger and they're quicker. It's going to be fun to match up against these guys. In the deep secondary, you have Aaron Walter. He's an 86 overall. And then their strong safety is Darryl Brown. He's an 84 overall. And it looks like Kirk is rolling with the Grambling State Tigers to finish the regular season undefeated at 12-0. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you tune in for the next episode. It is Senior Day at the Hole, where we will say goodbye to some legendary players. Chris King, Mike Collins, Rayshawn Baker, Torian Ray, just to name a few. It's crazy to think that we have recruited these guys and they're leaving already. Just seems like yesterday when we recruited them and brought them on campus. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're brand new. Don't forget, ring that bell. Join the Noti Squad. Hit those links down in my description. Follow your boy on Facebook, Twitter, and IG at Big C Got Game. And we'll talk from the hole as the Georgia Bulldogs come to town. Have a great day, guys. 2 fingers in the air. Peace.